Primary to what I will be talking about to you today is my own personal experience in sports that has shaped my profession as a sports psychologist. Let me start by giving you a background of why I am in this field, because many of my friends and colleagues ask me why I am in sports psychology and if this is where huge money is. That's why I got training in it. One thing's for sure, in the Philippines, there is no money here. As they say, it is all for the love of the game. I have been involved in sports beginning 5 years old. I played soccer with my brothers, was trained by my father in tennis. My mother encouraged me to play volleyball, did gymnastics briefly. I played basketball in intramurals because back then I was the tallest in our class, not anymore now. Did taekwondo and played varsity in softball. Hence, I had sport involvements in both team and individual sports, but I've always preferred to do team sports. I have learned so much from sport participation. As an athlete, I learned about punctuality, or the importance of punctuality, to training sessions and race competitions. The principle of obedience to my coach, the value of respect for our coaching staff and teammates, and the essence of months of hard training for just a day's race or game. So, growing up, these values I carried on to the other aspects of my life outside of sports. I have come to believe in the power of sport participation in shaping the needed qualities required to live in this world. Hence, apart from being born in a family of athletes, I had a childhood dream to help athletes develop their full potential. So from being an athlete, I moved towards coaching a softball team. There were challenges. One was to make people wake up early in the morning. That was the most challenging part. Another was to deal with individual differences, different sets of wants and needs of athletes, and different personality characteristics. I remember I asked one athlete at a game why she was late. She responded unapologetically and flatly, "I woke up late." I thought then that that was the only level of struggle one goes through in coaching a team, until I started Dragon Boat. So Dragon Boat is yet an emerging field in the provinces of the Philippines, even when the country started participating in it in the international scene in the 21st century. So in Dumaguete, we started it in 2015, and being one of the pioneers, there has been various challenges through training and competitions to enhance paddling skills and psychosocial skills. The pioneering team, Team Hilera, has 31 members as of the moment, and they are aged 14 to 50 years old. 5 are students, 3 are working part-time, 23 are working full-time. 21 are males, and 10 are females. So if you're interested, you can always join. In managing and coaching a Dragon Boat team, there have been 3 major challenges. One is a challenge on shifting from an individualistic mindset to a collectivistic mindset. Most of the paddlers came from individual sports, triathlon, marathon, rock climbing, making it difficult for them to adapt a team mindset, especially that the Dragon Boat sport is actually the ultimate team sport. Even with paddlers who came from another team sport like Frisbee, they have been observed to feel very challenged at embracing the fact that in Dragon Boat, everyone has to be really totally equal in terms of performance level. So you can be either as strong and fast or weak and slow as everyone else to move the boat forward at the most synchronized manner as possible. So, to show you how Dragon Boat works, let's watch this video.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 2, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Power down now. 1, 2, 3, 4. Bend, twist. Bend, twist. Go. Manage your energy. Manage your energy. Manage your energy. Kain lang yun. Huwag tubig. Huwag tubig. Ay pagkigil. Dungan lang. Go. Go. Dungan lang. Dungan lang. Go. Go. Manage your energy. Manage your energy. Bend, twist, bend. Ginawag tarong. Ginawag tarong. Nagpapalinan ninyo. Go. 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 Power longs now. Tama. Your energy. Go. 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 Power longs now. Tira. Bend, twist, bend. Bend, twist, bend. Bend, twist, bend. Last kick. Now. Harder now. Maintain now. Maintain. Harder. Maintain now. Harder. But harder this time. Go. 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 Harder now. Harder. Maintain. Go. 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 Reach. Reach. Go. Reach. Finish strong. 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 Easy. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Next one. Next one. Next one.
All right, so it's bragging time for me. That was my team, Hilera, at last year's Boracay International Dragon Boat Festival. That was our first heat, and we were actually more than one boat ahead of the others. That was our best time so far. So we're trying to break that this year. The other teams were so impressed. We overheard an international athlete say, they are so small, but they are very strong. Because height in Dragon Boat is actually an advantage. And as Filipinos, we were way shorter than many of our competitors. We did not get to this performance level the easy way. There was so much hard work in the months of training, in pool, land, and gym. We also did yoga, and we did Zumba when it was raining and we couldn't use the oval. And we also improvised training when necessary. So this leads me to my second challenge. There has been found a difficulty in developing a full understanding of the importance of training. There were those who thought that a few weeks of intense training before a race has the same performance effect to months of training. I use different kinds of strategies to keep people in training. So from games to rewards for perfect attendance, to posting motivational quotes and videos in our page, to eating together or socializing. We had fun. But they all had a shelf life. In the end, I had to resort to an autocratic style of coaching. As I say to my team, bitch mode on. And that somehow actually kept people in training. But not everyone was kept in training with that autocratic style. Others started hating me. So for example, One former team member posted this in social media. She was taken out from a race lineup because of misconduct. In retaliation, she posted this and took it down right away. But a teammate caught it, took a screenshot, and sent it to me. This paddler never improved in her 1 year of dragon boat participation, but she wanted to be one of the best paddlers. So how do you connect the two? Another was kicked out of the team because of disrespect to leadership. She gave me a fist sign behind my back after I talked to her about being a model to the younger ones because she was behaving really badly. And she was one of the older members. And she was 47 years old. So she hated me for talking to her. One other paddler resented me for pointing out her mistake when we were analyzing a race. She refused to admit she needed to improve. There were those who disliked me when I emphasized their lack of training. They believed in themselves that they were still good paddlers, even with insufficient training. And so this leads me to my third challenge. It has been the most challenging to deal with individual differences. Because there is an awareness of the importance of the psychosocial skills or aspect of athleticism, there is a strong desire to see this demonstrated overtly by the paddlers, given the various intervention strategies. Now, it is observed that in a dragon boat team whose membership is voluntary, so much of the commitment and dedication to the sport should be intrinsic. Opposite to the set of paddlers I indicated earlier, are paddlers who have been observed to be intrinsically driven. They show up at training, did what they were required to do at training, even if it was very challenging physically and mentally, listen well to instructions, and respect decisions of their leaders, especially at race day. And these were those who have improved in paddling and psychosocial skills in a very short period of time than expected. More interestingly, because the nature of dragon boat requires for full synchronization of all paddlers, no one will stand out. So unlike other sports or team sports, there's no most valuable player, there is no best goalkeeper, there is no best striker or highest pointer. So if someone is highly egoistic because one's ego has an intense need for appreciation and recognition, dragon boat will be most challenging to the person. So for these kinds of paddlers, they want to be pacers. Why? Okay, these are the pacers. They are the ones in the front. So once you have the front seat, it feels good, right? I often hear people say, "Oy, wow, pacer na ka ha?" So the pacer position seems to be the most prestigious one. And that there is the impression that pacers are the best paddlers. That's actually entirely wrong. The pacers are those who do not get agitated. Okay? They are the ones who can pace themselves well, from the word pacers. They have to be able to learn the skill of maintaining a particular pace because it is necessary for a dragon boat to be synchronized. And all the rest of the paddlers behind them will follow. They define the pace of the dragon boat. The middle paddlers should be the strongest paddlers because this is where you put the bigger-bodied paddlers or individuals. And it is assumed that your power in paddling is proportionate to the size of your body. The paddlers at the end of the boat will serve as a turbo, and they should be powerful enough to push the boat and not drag it. So each paddler in the boat have specific special roles. If all paddlers are equally strong and powerful, just imagine how fast and efficient the boat will run. The signal, or we also call the drummer, has to know what stroke to call, how to motivate the paddlers, and most especially how to read and analyze the race. The steerer is the driver of the boat. She or he has to make sure that the boat is moving to the right direction. One false movement of the steer will make or break the team's race. Therefore, given the nature of how Dragon Boat works, a highly egoistic person will definitely be miserable in the sport. So, to be successful in the Dragon Boat sport, there are two characteristics that need to be present in a paddler. One is having a strong core, and this is common among many athletes. In sports science, we call this as your strong abs. In any sport, you need strong abs. This is your core because this is primary to high levels of performance. Paddlers need to have that strong core to have strength, endurance, and power. And you can only attain this if you commit and submit yourself to sufficient amount of training. In my personal experience as an athlete, team manager, and coach, and professional experience as sports psychologists, there is another kind of core for paddlers or athletes to achieve high levels of performance. And this core is what makes us survive life's challenges, and in the context of Dragon Boat, this is what makes a paddler resilient to the challenges that come along. Determined and committed despite the hardships in training, disciplined and understanding the technicalities of the sports, and most importantly, dedicated at improving the self into becoming a better athlete. This core will make or break an athlete, especially amidst pressure. In psychological terms, we may refer to this as our ego. If sufficiently strong, is the shield that protects us from falling apart. Thank you. Primary to what I will be talking about to you today is my own personal experience in sports that has shaped my profession as a sports psychologist. Let me start by giving you a background of why I am in this field, because many of my friends and colleagues ask me why I am in sports psychology and if this is where huge money is. That's why I got training in it. One thing's for sure, in the Philippines, there is no money here. As they say, it is all for the love of the game. I have been involved in sports beginning 5 years old. I played soccer with my brothers, was trained by my father in tennis. My mother encouraged me to play volleyball, did gymnastics briefly. I played basketball in intramurals because back then I was the tallest in our class, not anymore now. Did taekwondo and played varsity in softball. Hence, I had sport involvements in both team and individual sports, but I've always preferred to do team sports. I have learned so much from sport participation. As an athlete, I learned about punctuality, or the importance of punctuality, to training sessions and race competitions. The principle of obedience to my coach, the value of respect,